Well, what a weekend of racing we've got ahead to look forward to at Ascot and Haydock. Loads of stars having the wraps taken off them for their first starts of the season. We're talking, of course, Edwardstone, Constitution Hill, the Presse. So many to look forward to. Frankie's alongside us. Joel will join us a little later on. The law of Strictly in Blackpool was too much for him this evening, Frankie. So I've got you for now. We'll get on to Joel later on. But you're off to Ascot this week. I think one massive talking point is the weather. Look, up here in the northwest, we've had absolute shed loads of rain, more forecast as well. And Henry de Bromhead, although he said Applutard's in great form, he is concerned about testing ground. It's what's known up here as Bristol Demai ground at Haydock this weekend, I think.
It is, yeah. It'd be equaling Corto Star's record as well if he was to win another. To be honest, I can't see Applutard being turned over up there, but it will be, as you said, testing ground, Bristol Demai ground. It's been not too far off down here, you know. I'm about an hour from Ascot, and it's absolutely poured it down the last 2 days. On Tuesday, Nick Henderson was saying 60-40 where the Constitution Hill will run because of the ground, and it's definitely. I think it might go soft ground come Saturday. So both Ascot and Haydock have took a fair bit of water, but as we know, Haydock will absolutely soak that up and come kind of the last couple of races on Saturday will be a bog, no doubt.
Staying handicap chase brings card to a close. That will be attritional, no doubt. You're off to Ascot, by the way, aren't you, this weekend? How much are you looking forward to seeing Le Presse and Constitution Hill?
Yeah, weirdly, I'm more excited to see Constitution Hill now than maybe, you know, Supreme, or obviously Cheltenham will be the big clash, Honeysuckle, Constitution Hill. But there's a lot of unknowns, isn't there? And there's that little kind of nervy feeling of, is he going to be the same? This is I'm just looking now, a stat almost to scare punters, I guess. But I was looking at, because we've got Constitution Hill Supreme winner, Le Presse Brown Advisory winner. We've got Applutard Gold Cup winner. We'll ignore that for now. And then the other big gun is Edwardstone, an Arkle winner. If you look back at previous years, every single one of those novices is turned out injured. Monkfish, injured. Shishkin pulled up the next year. Appreciate it, a season out. The top novices that won those big races did not have a great time coming out the next year. So that scared me a little bit. But I mean, all things well, you'd hope to see him just absolutely gun round and be just as impressive as he is. And, you know, 1 to 4 or whatever he is the highest rated novice, I think, ever, isn't he? So deserved of a silly short price.
Great shout with the stats, though. Right, we're going to stuck in. We'll start with the 205, but obviously, I want to mention the fact is we've got Hitman here who's also entered at Haydock. We're not sure at this point where he's going to go, but you're just looking at the jockeys. Obviously, I expect his first preference is at Haydock because that's where Harry Cobden is off to. And boy, he can ride a few winners at the minute, can't he?
He can. His strike weight is ridiculous, isn't it? Obviously, he's got Paul Nicholls to thank for that pairing as well. But I mean, yeah, whatever he's on is absolutely flying, and credit to him. He's given some brilliant rides as well in amongst. They haven't all just been easy steer jobs. He's given some absolute crackers. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at in this big race, is where does Hitman go? I genuinely do think if Hitman shows up here, he'll give Le Presse something to think about. But as you said, I'd imagine the target for Hitman has been to go to Haydock. They did the same with Brave Man's Game when and won that race last year. And Cobden's jocked up on a few. And Mick Easterby's up north as well. So I'd imagine that will be the plan, and Lorcan will stay down at Ascot and ride the ones here. So given that, should be a walkover for Le Presse. St Calvados, do your job and call Cody in behind. I can't have any of them anywhere near Le Presse. Slightly shorter, first time out, yeah, tiny worries, and that would worry me against Hitman, but not against the rest of them. Should wipe the floor with them lot.
Put him spot on for the King George, you'd imagine as well. Right, that's that one done. Let's move on to the 240 then. Again, we mentioned it, another short price favourite. He is back. Everyone will be clamouring to see him. Of course, you mentioned on the week, will he or won't he? He looks like he will. But it's not going to cakewalk, is it? All right, he looks a superstar in the making, but we know Goshen's pretty talented on his day, back over hurdles. And brewing up a storm himself, likewise, although he blotted his copybook last time out. Look, he's going to need to be pretty straight, isn't he, to deal with these?
He is, yeah. And we'll, as we go through this weekend, there's plenty of short prices, and rightly so. You know, I'm not going to try and find value if it looks a likely winner at 4 to 7 or whatever. But this is probably the one, funnily enough, that I'd leave out of an accumulator. I just don't think you're getting value for your money to chuck in on top of a few other selections. 1 to 5, 1 to 4. It's crazy short, isn't it? And like you said, Goshen at one point was 2 to 1 for a champion hurdle. I think a couple of years ago. Brewing Up a Storm's a good horse on his day. Constitution Hill should win, but cool, I'd be nervous if and they all will be nervous. There's an element of unknown with these novices, and he does have to back up what he's done, and he does have to come back as good as he was. And we all hope and we all think he will be, and it'll be really exciting if he just goes and demolishes the field. But from a punting point of view, even for an accumulator, I just leave this alone and enjoy, hopefully, watching what could be the top hurdler we've got right now and for a long time.
I agree. He's one to watch, isn't it? I mean, look, when you're back into that show, you want everything in your favour. He could be a superstar. He looks a superstar, but he's up in trip. It's going to be very, very soft ground. There's going to be a lot of pace on for Pleasure and Goshen don't hang around. So it'll be a true test. The decent animals against him, and you take all that into account, 1 to 5 is a little bit skinny. Well, no doubt it's a better opportunity to have a bet in the 315. I think this is an absolute cracker. I love top class horses in handicaps off top weight. We saw Trushan do it, of course, in the Northumberland Plate recently. We saw Brave Man's Game do it over jumps last season. Hitman nearly did it in the Old Rowan as well. Some top class horses in here. We've got an Arco winner, Edwardstone, missed last week, of course, on account of the ground, the short chase at Cheltenham. But here he is, off top weight in a handicap. Alan King did it with Trushan, of course, in the flat in the summer. Well, take some beating, isn't he? Even off 12 stone against this lot.
He is, yeah. I mean, you mentioned Trushan and Alan King. He's a trainer that's not afraid to run these graded horses in handicaps. You also mentioned Hitman for Paul Nicholls. He's had Grenadine, Frodon. They've just gone and won graded handicaps, which they're really graded horses running off a top weight. And I've found another in here just because of there's so many shorties through the card. I didn't just want to go favourite after favourite after favourite. But if I had to have a selection, it would be Edwardstone. The ground's not going to be horrendous. If it stays good to soft and over 2 miles, then that 12 stone probably won't stop him. If it was 3 miles in a bog, then I might stop and think, maybe the weight is really going to start to play a big role. But 2 miles, he's so slick over his fences. He's going to go quicker than a lot of these can handle. And I reckon he's going to have half the feel off the bridle pretty early on because he's just going to be too quick and too slick for him. The only one I'd be the main danger would be Time White. That horse finished really well last time out at Ascot, made a couple of decent handicappers in behind, looked mediocre. And that's another horse that can travel and can jump pretty slick. So if I was to match up the graded horse versus the handicapper, it would be Edwardstone versus Time White for me. But, your Arkle winner, pretty much flawless last season. They've obviously come here because they're running out of races to run him in, but he should hopefully go and win this. And I think the main factor to me, like I said, was 2 stone and good soft, not a staying trip on horrible ground. So he should just be too quick and too good.
There's only a couple of weeks to Tingle Creek, which I guess will be his main target. Right, let's move north into Haydock, and I say the rain that we've had here in recent days, and of course to come what we expect, it could turn it into a real slog on Merseyside this afternoon. But we'll start with 150. We mentioned Hitman. Probably not going to see him in Ascot. We expect he does come here, and with the Old Rowan form working out, he's trying to give £17 to Garlaw. That looks pretty solid. Should take the world of beating here. Finally, he's going to get his head in front. It's a good opportunity for him, Frankie, but he's proving rather expensive to follow. Do you think he is genuine?
I do. I do. I mean, right. So, like you said, he's expensive to follow because he reads second, third, second. But as you mentioned, giving a ton of weight away to a Paddy Power Gold Cup winner next time out. You go down 1 for Keir Dudery, go down 1 again for Lamball Savola, down 1 again Grenadine, and down 1 again Eldorado Allen. That's pretty much some of the, a handful of the top chasers we've got about at the moment. So he's not coming second to nobody's. And this is, like you said, it's his best chance. It's a shame, the rain and the ground, because he might just be super unlucky once again, and that'll be the thing that gets him unstuck. But the race comes early enough in the card. He has won on early on in his career. He's won on heavy ground and soft ground, and he seems pretty versatile. And to be honest, as far as shorties go, although he's come second enough, he's quite straightforward. He's not quirky, is he? He knows his job. He jumps well. I think he's all right. He just doesn't finish his race amazingly, but as I said, he's come second to good horses, so he should be the likely winner. Itchy Feet, I could probably down the bottom of the market, might be one that might bounce back to some form if Hitman didn't show up here. But it's got to be the favourite again. Just the recent form and the form book gives you the answers, really.
Yeah, so it does. Looks to be Hitman. Then we're over hurdle. Now, this is a race that always works out. This 225, the Stayers handicap hurdle. Look, we've had late winners like Sam Spinner, Paisley Park, this Dynast Grand Cruise in recent years as well. All go on to probably be graded class stayers. Loads in here. Run for Oscar obviously won the Cesaro, which like he just jumped in at the bushes. He's back off top weight. Holstone back over hurdles as well. Imperial Aura, he looked very good a couple of years ago. Totally fell off the cliff, but Kim Bailey back in good form. Good risk at all for your friend Sam Thomas as well. My Tie's a horse I like. Interesting. He's won on heavy ground, but he's pulled out from suitable ground on soft ground. But he is a half brother to the Gold Cup challenger Statler, who just stays and stays. So I think he'll be fine. Complete unknown, your EBF final winner. Peking Rose just won an Aintree and well back last time out. Frankie, there's 14 in here. This is the best betting race of the day. It's an absolute cracker.
It is. I'm looking forward to seeing this. It's a brilliant race. A couple you mentioned there, actually, like My Tai. That most recent run behind Three Stripe Life, I think, is a brilliant bit of form. That was over 2.5. And he just didn't have the pace to go with Three Stripe Life when he kicked, but he stayed. It wasn't really a matter of he couldn't see out his race. It was just a matter of when Three Stripe Life was asked for more, My Tai didn't quite have the gears, but he did stay and he did finish his race well. And, to go up just £7 behind Three Stripe Life, who we know is a very, very good horse, and come into this race off a 142, I think My Eye's got a great chance. Another you mentioned, Complete Unknown, a second behind Mile and Mission. That's got a 7th and an Albert Bartlett to its name. I think that horse will improve for that run. And again, one that could be reasonably well handicapped. It's got to be beyond a mark of 135, I think, Complete Unknown. And then right down the bottom, now this horse is 10s out to 25, so maybe it's not one to follow anymore. But when I initially had a look, I quite like Gentleman at Arms. I thought there was a little bit to like about this horse's 7th at Aintree wasn't the worst race in the world, and he's just kind of marks come down to something that's slightly attractive now, 143. And if you pick out his best bits of form over 3 miles, he's got a second behind Gelino Bella, who's now rated, I think, 141. And that was a well-finished race as well. So he can stay, he can handle the ground. There was a lot to like about him until he went 25s and doubled in price. So for me, My Tai and Complete Unknown, both worth an each way bet. Seeing both going close.
Yeah, My Eye's one of my tend to follow for the year as well. And just a little bit concerned that he's been pulled out on soft ground, but he did win on a heavy ground impressively. He used to be really keen in his races, but he's related to Statler, and obviously he stays all day. Fame and Glory, though, maybe he does want a little bit better ground. But no, I'll probably play my chance on My Tai. And then the big one, Frankie, the Betfair Chase. You mentioned Absolute Target will be hard to beat. Henry de Bromhead says he's been in great form. He is in great form. A little bit worried about the testing ground. There was a move in the week, wasn't there? He was very weak in the market, suggesting he may not potentially come over. But look, on all known form, he is going to take the world to beat him. But the ground certainly swings in the favour of Protectorat and Bristol de Mai. That is for sure. It's a great leveller. But in terms of quality, he dots up, doesn't he?
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, Protectorat had that run. Was it round Aintree, wasn't it? Yeah, on
Clouds,
soft ground. Yeah, which was impressive. Pulling Bridget Andrews' arms out. Bristol de Mai's obviously one round here, and we all know he loves it soft and heavy and wet and all the rest of it. But God, that Plutard, off of ratings, off of what he did in this last year, off of how he looked in the Gold Cup, should be as simple as just turning up and getting the job done. The ground is a bit of a leveller. I think he will win if he runs. There's a slight worry, like you said, as from a trainer's perspective, maybe they wouldn't want to give him such a hard race. But he's over here. Henry said it. It's an obvious concern, but he's in great form and they're happy with him. So it seems like he's got the green light and he should go and win this. And to be honest, out of all of them that we've spoken through that are short enough, this is probably your fairest price. I think you'll get, a Gold Cup winner, won the Gold Cup like he did, and to win the race like he did last year. I know it was hard testing ground, but he's a fair price.
He is. On Volman form, yeah, definitely. 4 to 7, 1 to 2 looks a very good price. Could be very rewarding. Couldn't it come about 307, 308 on Saturday? Right. The finale. So the 4th race on the chase course, the last race of the day. It's a 3.25 mile handicap chase. Talk about attritional. It won't get much less. And
be crawling them.
Small favourites, and they're in there on recovery missions. Truckers Lodge, former Midlands National, and a big breakaway. He fell off the edge of a cliff after promising so much. Easy's Land, plenty of P's next to his name. Couple down the bottom, when you think of the mud flying, Phoenicia Williams, Fontaine, Collonges, and Nick Richards got an interesting one as well in Houston, Texas. But one that caught my eye was Lord de Mesnil, because he ran an absolute cracker at Bangor the other day. Ground would have been quick enough for him, and now he's got his conditions here this afternoon.
I agree. We're on the same page this week. That was he finished that race really well, didn't he? For a reappearance run, held up, and then just to stay on heavy ground at Bangor. I thought that was a great run, and he should come on for that. And I mean, you look at his previous form and ratings, he's down what now to 146. He's raced enough in the 150s. And there was nothing discouraging about that recent run at Bangor. It doesn't look like he's lost any love of racing or he's not fit. So hopefully he comes on a little bit for that run, and he's got to have a great chance. I agree. Another you mentioned, Truckers Lodge, a proper stayer, a proper slogger, a trucker. You could say, if you look at his actual form over 3, pretty good. He's tried over 4, and in, as you said, various races of 3.5 and nationals and all sorts, and heavy, soft ground, but got some pretty good form over 3 miles, and it's going to be tough. Last race of the day on a Saturday after 2 days of rain. It's not going to be nice out there, and it's going to feel probably more like 3.5, 4. So Truckers Lodge with Freddie Ginger on as well, taking off 10. It's got to kind of pull you in a bit more. And then Lord de Mesnil, as you said, 2 each way plays.
Yeah, it's a field in the lucky last. Right, there's the 7 ITV races covered. Where's the best bet of the weekend? Is it one of them, or is it something that you've heard on the grapevine you quite like?
Oh, well, I mean, you could play a little accumulator, couldn't you, with a few of them? I'd honestly chuck those 3. I really, if Hitman goes to Haydock, I'd play Hitman. That would leave the race wide open for
Long Presse.
Long Presse to go and win, and then Aplutard. Those 3, I really couldn't see any of them beating if they all run a true race. I probably wouldn't, as I said, but Constitution Hill just because it's so skinny. But those 3 to go in a treble seems very straightforward to me. And then Edwardstone. I don't think you'll see Edwardstone at that price very often. 11-4 for an Arkle winner. As he goes through this year, you're not going to see him priced up like that in many other races. I think it's a massive price for a horse that just has 1-1-1-1-1 next to his name, an emphatic Arkle win, a really classy jumper, and he's around 11-4. Seems a great bet.
There we are then. So enjoy yourself at Ascot, the Ascot attendee, Frankie Foster.
Yeah.
We'll hear from Joel next. He's the Haydock host on Saturday. He's looking forward to it. So let's get his thoughts as well on the weekend action. Well, that was Frankie. This is Joel. As you can tell, I've moved as well. Joel is off to Haydock this weekend, and I know you've been in the area a lot. We've all been in the area a lot, but you've been closer to Haydock, and there's been buckets of rain. 31 mils so far up to now, time of recording. I feel like it's going to be what I call Bristol to my weather.
Yeah, definitely Bristol to Mayweather. It's look, it's 11. I love this horse so much. I genuinely do. But you saw him in last year's race, and I thought that was it for him. This is his Gold Cup, obviously. But I just keep going back to his 11. Are we not just looking at it and going, how far does this favourite win? Aplutard.
You think?
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, I thought it'd be a lot shorter. Constitution Hill time recording is about 1-5 or something like that, and I think this is a bigger racing search. So I won it by 22 lengths last year. For me, the distance bet is there. If Protectorat wins, I will quite happily run around Haydock naked. I don't get it whatsoever. So I'm going for a distance bet on this one, and I'm also going to go for a cheeky exacta, like a cheeky Nando's, with Eldorado Allen coming second. We watched again last night that Weatherby run last month, beat Brave Man's Game by 3.5 lengths. It's a grade 2, but you know what's going to happen. Froden's going to go off in front. It's probably going to fade. Bristol May will probably stop running halfway around, and I think it's going to be left down to Aplutard, followed in by is it Eldorado Allen, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Eldorado Allen, and I think Protectorat will probably take about 8 fences home with him.
There we go then. Right, I'm just texting Harry Skelton. Don't win. No one wants to see Joel naked. There we go.
No, he's had some decent winners this week. You know, he was right. He said they were, about 3 weeks away, about 3 weeks ago, and ones that weren't even fancied were like, what? Has he got a circuit too early here? So the Chuckle brothers back in form.
Well, Protectorate runs in the colours, of course, of Jed Mason. They've got Hitman in the 150. Looks like he's going to go here over Ascot. And I know you label him something not very polite. We saw to Frankie. He thinks he's genuine, but he keeps finding a way of getting beat. But his latest form's worked out. That's Hitman in the 150.
Yeah, of course. He always bumps into one, and the ones he's bumped into are good horses. If you looked at that and it was an all-weather race at Wolverhampton or something like that, and it was that sort of price, you wouldn't, seconditis or just doesn't want to win or whatever. But if you look at the horses that he's been beaten by, he bumps into one. If Hitman doesn't win, running around Ascot naked. Now, if Hitman doesn't win this weekend, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do because Itchy Feet's gone for me. And River, no. Manila Drama, probably second best out of the lot of them. But Hitman should win this. But won't be carrying any of my money. It's a race for me to watch and hope Hitman wins because you want to see the ones that you put up a couple of years ago win. But it's a no bet race for me. I just really hope Hitman does win and proves Frankie right.
225 is a cracking race. Usually throws up a useful performer, as I was talking to Frankie about. What do you fancy this? The Irish bring over a run for Oscar, but 12 stone on his back. He's got to be pretty special to win with that, isn't he?
Yeah, proper special, I tell you. We had a really decent week. It's probably my best punting weekend for a long time was last weekend. And I've only had one bet this weekend. 16-1 is my nap. It's Brinkley in this for David Pipe. It was what? What's the face for?
I agree.
Oh, well, I've changed my nap this weekend. I thought 16-1 was ridiculous due to running this last year, but was pulled out, wasn't it?
On the ground, good ground.
Yeah, good ground. So it's one on soft heavy. It won off 140. It's now, I think, 138, something like that. One first time out, beat Do Your Job by 15 lengths. Beat some good horses behind that as well. David Pipe, 25% strike rate. He's coming into form. He's not Martin Pipe, but he is David Pipe. And I was gobsmacked when I saw it was 16-1. People say it's wide open, but I was what? When is that 16-1? I'll have a bit of that. Thank you very much. You say about the top one that you mentioned, it's got to be very, very good. And I think 16-1 about Brinkley is outstanding value.
Yeah, I like Brinkley. I like Complete Unknown as well, but I think Brinkley is a huge price for an informed Pipe team. Look, by the time 335 comes around, the ground's going to be churned up. It's a staying chasers. It's going to take some getting. It's Lord de Menil's type of ground. He ran pretty well at Bangor the other day, but he's got 12 stone 1. And there could be a lurker with this. Nicky Richards' Houston, Texas has been going through the grades.
Yeah, it could be, but I'm going to contradict myself on this podcast and YouTube show in just a little bit because Venetia Williams hasn't had a winner for around 10 years. I better not say that. My Haydock tomorrow, aren't I? Hi, Venetia. How are you? Grateful. I think it's 209 days or something since she had a winner. This is going to get her off the cold trainers list tomorrow. Fontaine, Collonges, just because the ground. I genuinely believe that. You look at it and it's good horse, and it's all about the ground. This is going to lift Venetia, and this is going to be her winner this weekend.
There we are then. Venetia off the coal list because here Fontaine, Collonges in the last, and it's her type of ground, isn't it? That is for sure. Right, you say Aplutard's going to win. Frankie fancy the treble. Aplutard, Hitman, and Presse. He was leaving out Constitution Hill.
Oh, I wish you had a tipping line on premium rate that I could call. I mean, that'd be a good.
Presse, assuming Hitman doesn't go here, you'd imagine it's a bit of a penalty kick for him.
No. I mean, look, catch me if you can. This is the one for me, the one that gets beat this weekend. And this is where I contradict myself. And what's the price now? About 4-7 or something like that?
Yeah, with Hitman in. I mean, expecting Hitman to go to Haydock.
Hitman ain't running. Presse, catch me if you can, but it's the Venetia form of this one. The Venetia form, because I don't mind going against something with a trainer who's not had a winner for 209 days or whatever it is. Got to be something special. Now, I know I ranted for 25 minutes last week about David Maxwell. St. Calvados is outstanding value. Was it 17-2, something around that mark? You only get in the first two places, but for a bit of fun, I would back St Calvados. I want Long Press to win because you want the good horses to win, but St Calvados isn't far behind. To be fair, won last time at Sandown in that Grade 2 in April. All right, you've got David Maxwell against Charlie Deutsch now, and there is the Venetia the Venetia form. But if you're just looking at those and a match bet of Paul Nicholls versus Venetia Williams, St Calvados for me. I'd have me fiver, watch the race, and be dead happy.
So Venetia Williams finds form in the space in 90 minutes between Le Presse not winning and Fontaine Collonges winning.
Yes, it'll make sense. Next time we come back, next week we come back, we'll be here, and you'll be going. You got it spot on again, mate.
Right, apologise for this nonsense. Constitution Hill, then he is back. Frankie said he'd leave him out of all his accas and his trebles and etc. this weekend because he's short enough. He's too short for him. Does he win?
I've got to say is, how good is this horse? How far did he beat John Bon?
Yeah, wicked.
And then John Bon comes out, and that was impressive. Which is Champion winner, isn't it? This horse. I think it's just got a pop round, broke track record in Supreme. It'll be something to say for this weekend. It's about quality. I think if you get into racing this weekend, you never see horse racing. You're going, this is the most boring thing in the world. You're just watching, short price favourites win, or it's a boring sport. However, I don't think I've gone the distance bet with this one because I don't think they'll, take the handbrake off purposely, and just show how good it is. And Nicky's a bit like that on certain horses. So I think he'll win. He'll win on the bridle. Nico looking between his legs, likes what he sees, and I think it just wins. Very, very impressively. But not going away, if that makes any sense, or it's just a contradiction in terms again.
There we are then. So we've got loads of Cheltenham winners from March running this weekend. Appletard, you like Constitution Hill wins, you say you don't like Long Press. What about Edwardstone? In a handicap, top weight. I know we were talking before off air and on our messages, you're against Alan King's runners. You're not sure his horses are in quite good form. Is this another Venetia Williams horse? I mean, does she find form in the 20 minutes between this and Haydock?
No, she hasn't found form yet. At this point, what I mean.
It's a very small window, isn't it?
It's a really small window. It's one of those ones you couldn't fit through. It's a very small window. It's like a cat flap, I tell you. Edwardstone was probably my favourite horse in training last year. 3-2-1. I think this will drift, massively. Alan King. I watched a lot of racing this week, and a lot of his fancied ones. There was one in the JP colours earlier this week that was well punted, and they're being well beaten, really well beaten. And at 3-1, not for me. Now, this might be controversial. After last weekend with Emmett Mullins and Paul Byrne, I hope we put you off on that one. That was the massive gamble, then drifted massively out. It was ridiculous prices on the exchanges as well, and ran as expected. So Scottish for me, won the last three. It's got 2 stone over Edwardstone in this, and I think it's worth a little bit of interest this weekend. Again, you want to see Edwardstone go on and win, but so Scottish for Emmett Mullins. I don't think he's bringing him over just going to get a cheap Ryanair flight or whatever. He's got to be coming over for something at some point, and it's got a clip. Who's riding it? Has he got a kid on it?
Michael O'Sullivan, very good. He's the new retained rider for Barry Connell. Very, very good. Massively worth his claim. Well over worth £5.
There you go. Tick, 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 tick. Edwardstone bolts up. So Scottish for me in that one.
Right, bet of the weekend. Frankie went for the treble, I think. He went for Long Press, Appletard, and Hitman at Haydock. You sticking with Brinkley?
Yeah, I think Brinkley's a really good bet this weekend. It's the only bet I've actually had so far. I'm going to do maybe a distance bet on Appletard, and maybe the forecast. But no, Brinkley for me this weekend at 16-1. You can take each way what you're paying 3-4 places. Like I say, David Pipe 25% strike rate. We'll love this. So that is the one for me, and I'll be there in the winners' enclosure with a camera on my face, going, David Pipe, how's it feel?
We salute you. Right, cheers to Joel then. He's off to Haydock. Frankie's off to Ascot. A brilliant weekend ahead. All these Cheltenham Festival winners getting their season underway this weekend. And with the rain around, it'll be pretty testing ground up and down the country as well. Fingers crossed for the boys' best bets. Whatever you're backing, best of luck.